So we'll get started. So what was the last topic we saw? That is motion EMF and problems based on it, right? So that's what I have in my notes. So today we will start with the next chapter. Next topic, that is named as induction. Okay, the name of the chapter is electromagnetic induction, right? So the next topic that we are going to see is a process called as induction. Okay, induction is basically of two types. One is called as so one process is called as self-induction, okay, and the next one is called as mutual induction. You would have heard this term in your 10th grade, if I'm not wrong. So you would have heard this term mutual induction in your 10th standard under the same chapter, magnetic effects of current, right? So let's start with what is self-induction. Okay, you can write down the heading as self-induction. Okay. So here in this chapter, we call it as electromagnetic induction, right? So what do you mean by induction in the first place? Which we have discussed.
Charging without physical contact.
So you're trying to create something without a physical contact, yes. Okay. See, if I say charge is induced, you can say charging an object. Here I'm just using the word induction. Induction's basic English meaning is creating something without a physical contact, as simple as that. So what is the name of the chapter? It is electromagnetic induction, right? So it is electromagnetic induction. So what are we trying to induce with the help of what? We are trying to generate, so I'll give you two options. We are trying to generate magnetic field using electricity, or we are trying to generate electricity using magnetism.
Electricity using magnetism.
So we are generating the charge. Electro refers to charge, magnetic refers to the magnetic field. So with the help of magnetic field, right, we are able to generate the electricity. That is nothing but the electric field. So keeping this factor in mind, what are we supposed to do to the magnetic field? So some property of magnetism is changed, which is going to create the necessary current that is required, right? What parameter of that magnetism should change? Magnetic flux. So that is the basic rule. That is a thumb rule. So if you need to generate magnetism using, if you need to generate electricity using magnetism, the only work you have in your hand is change the flux with respect to time. How you are going to change, that is your work, right? So here, when I say self-induction, here also you are going to talk about inducing electricity only using the same concept of magnetism. So till now, if you see all the concepts from the beginning, in the Faraday's law, I would have explained 3 experiments, right? So when I explained the 3 experiments, what are the types of magnets that we can use? We can either use a permanent magnet or we can use a temporary magnet, right? So the other name for temporary magnet is an electromagnet. We can use an electromagnet also to change the flux, right? So keeping all these factors in mind, let's see what exactly are we supposed to do in the self-induction process to change the flux. Okay. So again, recollecting the basic, flux is dependent on 3 parameters, B, A, and the orientation. Now observe. Now I'll put a question like this. Let us say I have a coil which is wound to the form of a helix. Okay, I have a spiral coil in my hand, and the spiral coil is connected across a battery. So a spiral coil is connected across, or a cell. A spiral coil is connected across the cell with the help of a key. Okay. Now the key is open. What will happen within the coil? Obviously, we know that no current is going to flow. Right. Now, if I close this key, then what will happen? the first thing you need to check is what is the type of the battery that you have connected. So what is the type of battery that you have connected? Have you connected a DC source or AC source?
DC.
You have connected a DC. So obviously DC current is supposed to flow, right? So there will be a steady state current that is going to flow through the circuit after some time. So generally what happens is, when the key was open, if I ask you to prepare a table like this, okay, let's say you have the feasibility of visualizing how the current is growing to a particular value. I'll explain what the meaning of growing is. So if I have to plot or record a table where I have a data which is giving me the relation between time and the amount of current at that particular instant. Okay, that is the instantaneous current. So if I ask you the question at t is equal to 0, t is equal to 0 is the point which is considered just before closing the key. So just before closing the key, what was the current? It was 0. Okay, let us say the steady state current value is 5 ampere. Okay, let us assume, we don't know what it is. Let's say it is 5 ampere in this case. Let us say in 1 millisecond. In 1 millisecond, if you try to calculate the amount of current that is present there, let us say its value is 1 ampere, right? So 2 millisecond, it is 2 ampere. 3 millisecond, it is going in a progressive way like this: 3 ampere, 4 millisecond, 4 ampere, and 5 millisecond, 5 ampere. After 5 millisecond, what will be the case?
The current will be constant.
5 ampere, because it is going to be a steady state current. That is what is the meaning, right? So what is happening initially at t is equal to 0, between this 0 to 5 milliseconds, are you able to see a growth in the value of the current?
Yes.
Right. So though we generally don't concentrate on it, there is a growth in the current. Okay. So this concept is actually not there, but you have to understand it. Okay. Now my question is, during the process of this growth, what are all the changes do you think the coil will undergo? Because see, we have to think only around this. I'm talking about inducing current. Inducing current across whom? My objective is to induce the current across this spiral coil. That's it. Okay. Are you guys able to understand? So what will happen between the 0 to 5 seconds?
Magnetic flux changes.
Magnetic flux changes due to what? See, if magnetic flux has to get linked, what happens? You need a magnetic field, you need an area, you need a closed surface, and you need some orientation between the magnetic field and the area. Right. What justification? I only spoke about current. I didn't speak anything about the field at all. So what theoretical aspect do you think will happen within this coil so that I can say that there is an EMF induced across the ends of this coil? So what do you think will happen? How will this current affect this coil by inducing electricity around it? So what are all the parameters that you're able to see? See, you have to think only in these three terms. I'm again writing it, dA cos theta. Now tell me, does this coil have an area associated with it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because it's a spiral coil, yes, it has an area associated with it. Does it have an orientation? Aerial vector has a particular direction. So when I speak about this theta, my question is, I need to, so what does theta tell me according to the definition? So theta is the angle between magnetic field and the aerial vector. Aerial vector, right? So I can speak about theta only if I'm able to speak about what is the value of the magnetic field. Here the question is, I don't have a magnet in my hand. Then who is generating the magnetic field here?
Battery. Coil.
The current in the coil itself. The current in the coil itself is generating a magnetic field. And what is happening to that magnetic field? Is it constant? Is a question to be answered. Is it constant?
No.
No.
It is not constant. It is not constant from where to where? Between the 0 to 5 milliseconds. So there is. So after that, it is constant. That's a different story. Now my observation is only till 0 to 5 seconds. I'm trying to analyze what exactly is happening within the coil. So from 0 to 5 milliseconds, the current is growing from 0 to 5 ampere. During that process, there will be a magnetic flux that is linked with this coil. Sorry, magnetic field that is linked with this coil, which is directly proportional to the current, whatever is the constant, I don't know. Because I'm applying the Biot-Savart term, U naught I divided by something. But I can understand that it is directly proportional to current. So As the value of current is growing, I can say that the magnetic field linked in the coil is also growing. And this magnetic field is a field which is induced due to its own current. Have this in your mind. Okay. So when the magnetic field is going to get linked with this coil, let us say it is in this way. The magnetic field is going to get linked in this way. Are you able to understand? So it is going to get linked in this way. Between the 0 to 5 milliseconds, what will happen? This value of B is increasing, due to which what parameter will get affected?
Current.
No, it is the magnetic
field.
Magnetic flux that is getting affected due to the increase in the current. So what exactly? This is a cyclic process. Increase in current is generating increase in
Magnetic field.
magnetic field, which is in turn, magnetic field, which is in turn increasing the
Magnetic.
yes, which is in turn increasing the magnetic field. Now what will happen if I open the key? Now I closed it for between 0 to 5 milliseconds. This happened. If I open the key after whatever time I want, what do you think will happen? Let us say
The reverse, sir.
it should get reversed, right? Let's say I'm opening the key at 7 milliseconds. So at 8 milliseconds, what will happen? It will become 4 ampere. 7 milliseconds, it will become 3 ampere. Guys, there is only a theoretical value for you to understand. Okay, sorry, not 8, 9. 10 milliseconds, 2 ampere, and 5 milliseconds, it is going to be 1 ampere. Sorry,
11.
7. 12 milliseconds, it will be 0. So this process where the current is decreasing is called as decay of current. Okay, first process is called as growth, and the second is called as decay. D-E-C-A-Y. It's called decay of current. So during this process, what will happen? There will be a decrease in the value of current.
Magnetic field.
Decrease in the current, due to which magnetic field will decrease, due to which magnetic flux will also decrease. So what is happening during the process of growth and during the process of decay? You're able to see that there is a change in magnetic flux, but Faraday has already told us that if there is a change in magnetic flux with respect to time, yes, you can generate EMF across.
EMF.
Right? Here the question to be answered is, what is happening between the 6 millisecond, 5 millisecond and 7 millisecond? Is there going to be magnetic field that is magnetic flux that is changing between this 5 millisecond?
No, sir.
No, right? So what are the three processes that are happening? Growth is happening, growth of current is happening, steady state current is flowing, and once you remove the key, there is a decay of current that is taking place. So you can generate the you can generate the EMF across the ends of this coil only under two scenarios. What is it? Either if the current is increasing or current is decreasing. But when you have connected a DC source, all these are going to exist only for a short span of time. So the current which exists for a very short time is called as
Transient current.
I've told this, right? Transient current. Right. So due to this transient current, what you can observe is there is a magnetic flux change that is taking place in this coil, due to which an EMF is induced in this coil. Which is positive, which is negative, that is our next headache. But we know, so that I will teach you. So the next one, so one thing is it clear that the current in the coil is due to the change in the current in the coil itself, due to its own current, there is an EMF induced across it. That is why this process is called as self-induction. Are you guys able to understand this point? So this is the process. Okay, so there are three words that you will be seeing. It is a very minute point, but it is very confusing. I've seen people making mistake. Concentrate. The first word is induction. Second word is inductance. And the third word is inductor. Okay. So it is something like this. If you see INDUCT, 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 if you see the suffix ION, it is induction, it is a phenomenon. So generally the phenomenon is something which you can see in physics. For example, reflection, refraction, something like this is there. All these terms are called as phenomena. That is, you can observe something. So induction is the process by which an EMF is induced across the ends of that particular coil. Okay. Inductance is the property of the coil. When I say property, it is something like resistance and capacitance. Are you guys able to understand? And inductor is a device. Like how we say resistor and capacitor. Resistor has a property called as resistance. Capacitor has a property called as capacitance. Similarly, inductor is a device which has a property associated with which is called as inductance, and that process and then that property comes through the process of induction.
Sir, inductor is
Inductor is a device.
body that
Inductor is a
induces
device.
the current in another coil.
No, I will tell you that is.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what it is. Okay. I hope all these points have gone into your mind. So induction, inductance, and inductor. Now I am going to define the phenomena induction. Okay. So I will show you in notes. Observe. So let us say, I'll give you. Let us say the flux that is linked with the coil. Let us say the flux linked with the coil is phi. Okay, and this flux is getting associated with n number of turns. So the total flux associated with the coil is capital N into phi, where capital N stands for number of windings. I already told this point to you. Capital N in physics is always used for number. Small n is always used for number density. Okay, so N phi is directly proportional to I. What current am I speaking about? It is
Steady state current.
it is its own current, not the steady state current, the current which is happening during the process of growth or decay. Okay, this
Current in the coil, sir.
Current in the coil during the process of growth or decay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so did you people understand this step? I'm saying that the flux that is linked with the coil, you know, I've already told you. So how is it coming? Flux is linked because of the magnetic field. How will magnetic field get generated? Due to the current. If I go in the reverse, right? So
Yes,
who is producing the current? Its own current is producing its own magnetic field. It's producing its own magnetic flux. That is why I'm saying the flux associated with the coil is directly proportional to its own current during the process of growth or decay. Okay. Now, if I remove the proportionality symbol, the constant that I'm introducing is L. And this L is what is called as the inductance. Okay. So L is called as inductance. So L will be equal to N into phi divided by I. If you ask me, there's a very simple derivation. It is similar to how we derive capacitance. I would have told you. The charge on a capacitor is directly proportional to the amount of potential difference you apply. So when you remove the proportionality symbol, the constant you introduce is C, where the C is called as capacitance, ANCE. Similarly, here what you are introducing is called as inductance, ANCE. So inductance is the property of that particular device called as inductor. Okay, it is something similar. For you to understand, I explained it. Is it clear till this step?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see, if I take this as step number 1, N into phi is equal to L into I. Right? Own flux, own current. Now the question is, how do I define the EMF that is getting induced? I'm not talking about the EMF which I've connected. I'm not, let's say it is a 5-volt battery. I'm not talking about the 5-volt battery EMF. I'm talking about the EMF which will get induced at the ends of this particular coil. So how do I get EMF? If I have flux in my hand, how do I mathematically generate EMF out of it?
D plus by dt.
Respect to time.
So with differentiate with respect to time. So we know that E is equal to minus d phi divided by dt. So differentiating on both the sides, which one? Differentiating one on both sides with respect to whom? Whenever you say differentiating with respect to time, with respect to time, I get N into phi, d by dt of N into phi is equal to L into di divided by dt. Am I allowed to write di by dt?
Yes, sir.
Because had it been steady state current, what would have happened?
Constant.
Di by dt,
Constants are zero.
it would have been 0. So you cannot define EMF when the current is not changing. That is why I use the concept of growth or decay. So n into d phi by dt is equal to L into di by dt. But what is n into d phi by dt according to Faraday's law? It is negative of E.
Negative of E.
So L into di by dt. So EMF is equal to minus L into di divided by dt. So this is going to be the value of EMF induced across whom? Across the particular coil, and this coil is what is called as, and this coil, whatever I'm trying to speak about, is what is called as an inductor. Are you able to understand? Is there any point you missed? You want me to repeat? So EMF is equal to minus L into di by dt.
Sir,
So
N where the N goes?
it is there, no? I wrote no L.
N,
L, I wrote no L.
N, sir, N.
N, this one.
Yes, sir.
Faraday's law states EMF is equal to minus N into d phi by dt, no?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That is why I wrote here N also. Here also I wrote N. Okay, can copy this.
Can't we take di by dt as charge, sir?
di by dt is not charge. Current is dq by dt. di by dt is d square q by dt square. It's a second derivative of charge.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So let me know once you're done. Right.
Done, sir.
Done. So L is equal to n phi divided by I, no? Can someone tell me what would be its SI unit? N has no unit, it's a number. Phi is
Weber ampere.
Weber per
Ampere inverse.
Per ampere.
Weber per ampere. Weber
Ampere.
is name of a, so capital WB ampere inverse. This
Yes.
Weber ampere inverse together is called as Henry, HENRY, which is represented by the symbol capital H. Okay. The unit of inductance. I'm not talking about self-inductance or mutual inductance. Unit of whom? Not the induction. Induction doesn't have any unit because it's a phenomenon. Inductor doesn't have any unit because it's a device. So who can have the unit? Only inductance. So the unit of inductance is Henry. How did I get that Henry? It is Weber per ampere. But what is Weber actually? Weber is Tesla meter square. So Tesla meter square ampere inverse is also Henry. So either this can be given or this can be given. Right? Both will lead you to the same SI unit. Got it? Now comes the important point. See, if I write only magnitude of about term, if I write magnitude, so EMF is equal to L into di divided by dt with a modulus. I'm putting a modulus across this because di by dt can be positive or negative depending on whether the current is growing or getting decayed. Right? So E is equal to L into di by dt. If I rearrange this equation and write, I'm trying to analyze what this L is all about. How do I define this L? I need to understand what an inductor does. Somebody asked me, what does an inductor do? So E divided by di by dt. Can I write it like this? So L is equal to E divided by di by dt. Means I'm defining it as EMF is nothing but potential difference. So potential difference divided by di by dt. Now this is inductance. So for me to understand this, I'm going to create a similarity. So if people answer me this question, if I ask you what does a resistor do, what will you say? What is the work of a resistor?
Opposes.
Opposes
flow of
the
charge.
flow of
Opposes the
current.
Flow of charge.
Opposes the flow of charge, or I can say opposes the flow of current. Both mean the same, right? Opposes the flow of current. Okay. What does a capacitor do?
Stores energy.
Stores the
Stores
energy short
energy.
time.
Stores charge in the form of electric field.
Electric.
Now, what does an inductor do then? That's what we need to answer, right? Now, I'm going to create a similarity between resistor and inductor, concentrate well. So if I ask you what is resistance according to Ohm's law, what will you say?
V by
V by
V
I.
by I.
V by I.
So if I say the potential difference is constant, if I apply a constant potential difference, can I say the resistance will be inversely proportional to I? So what is the meaning of this? If I have a resistor whose resistance value is greater, I will be able to allow only less current to flow through it. It is very easy for me to analyze it. If I give you a 20 ohm resistor, if I give you a 2 ohm resistor, I'm giving you the same battery. Let's say I'm giving you a 5 volt battery. I'm saying connect 5 volt across this 20 ohm separately, 2 ohm separately, note down the ratings and tell me in which case is the current more. Obviously, your answer will be, even without doing the experiment, you can tell me.
2 ohm.
Obviously, the 2 ohm, because this is going to offer lesser resistance. So resistance is inversely proportional to current. That is what the work of a resistor is. So don't get confused between resistance and this one. Resistance is a property of whom? Property of the resistor. So more is the resistance, less will be the flow of which current? The steady state current. Am I right? So resistor will oppose the flow of current. In a similar way, if I observe this expression, I'm going to write L is equal to E divided by di by dt. Then what is this inductance? How is this inductance inverse? What is inductance inversely proportional to? It is proportional to di by dt.
By dt.
Okay. Are you able to find a similarity? Instead of potential difference, you have EMF, that's it. But both the equations are looking similar to me. So L is inversely proportional to di by dt. If I ask you, looking at this expression, what will you say? I'll give you a statement, observe. If I ask you about a resistor, by looking at this expression, I will say, resistor will oppose the flow of current because it is inversely proportional mathematically. Then what will an inductor do? Inductor, is it opposing or supporting?
Opposing the flux.
Opposing.
Flux.
Inductor is opposing whom?
Flux, sir.
Flux, sir.
It is not opposing the flux, it is opposing the change of current. di by dt is change of current. Now, where is flux involved in it? If I write d phi by dt, you can tell me flux. Inductor will oppose the change of current taking place with it. It will not allow the current to change. So try to understand. Resistor will not allow the current to flow within it. Inductor will not allow the current to change within it. There is a difference. Inductor will oppose, Inductor will oppose the change of current within it. Means what it will try to do is it will try to maintain a steady state current, but it can't succeed. It fails. Right. So inductor will oppose the change of current. Are you guys able to understand this?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
So make a note of it. See, all these points are not there in the textbook. Make a note. Okay. Once you're done, we can go to the definition. Since you have copied all the mathematical equation, let's look at the definitions. So then I'll go. Shall I move on?
Done, sir.
Okay. Now let's see the definition of it. So all these things I told you, E is equal to minus L into di by dt, and this EMF, the EMF which is getting induced across the ends of an inductor is called as back EMF, or you're able to see the word back EMF?
Yes, sir.
So it's either called as back EMF or it is also called as self-induced EMF. Okay, so you can make a note of it also. The EMF induced across the ends of the conductor is also called as back EMF or self-induced EMF. I'll tell you why it is called as back EMF. Okay, it's purely because of the negative sign only, nothing else. Now I'm going to give a definition to it. Observe. So E is equal to minus L into di by dt. If I say di by dt is 1 unit, if I substitute di by dt as 1 unit, 1 ampere per second or 1 milliampere per second, I'm not concerned about it, is 1 unit, that's it. Then E will be equal to minus L mathematically, right? So how will you define this this inductance as? So L is called as the self-inductance. So if they ask you the definition of self-inductance of the circuit, you need to define it like this. The self-induced EMF produced under what scenario? So E is equal to minus L. If I take only the magnitude, then E will be equal to L. Whom am I trying to define? I'm trying to define L. Now mathematically, what is this telling me? L is equal to EMF. Under what scenario? When will L
When
be
change in the current
Change
is
of
one
current
on
is
unit.
1 unit? So that's what we need to put it in a definition. That's what is given C. So the self-inductance is defined as the self-induced EMF produced per unit rate of change of current. Okay, so this is what is called as self-inductance. So here they have tried to define the unit in a different way. So unit of L is equal to unit of EMF divided by unit of rate of change of current, and this quantity, this volt second ampere inverse, is also called as Henry, and its dimensional formula is given like this. Okay, so the definition of Henry, you can go through it. You can read it once I send this notes. Okay, so there is nothing much for me to explain about Henry. So the symbol used for inductor is this. You take the spiral coils, this is what is the symbol for an inductor. Okay, this plus or minus is put. No, the potential difference when you try to calculate between this plus and minus is what is called as the back EMF. So that's all about this self-inductance, self-induction. Is this clear? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
No, right? Okay, one more important point to be noted is the self-inductance L of a coil depends on the size and shape of the coil, the number of turns, the magnetic property of the medium within which the coil exists. So you can understand this. It is something similar to how the capacitance depends on. And one more important point is the self-inductance does not depend on the current. It depends only on the rate of change of current. Okay. Next. So since we have seen self-induction, obviously the next process is going to be mutual induction. So what do you mean by mutual?
By a physical contact.
No, induction itself doesn't mean, induction itself means there is no physical contact. Here also you are not having
Oh, okay,
physical
sir.
contact. Yeah.
Close. So due to current
Near.
in one coil,
Both of them near.
So both are near to each other.
Both are near to each other. The change in magnetic parameters in one coil will induce an EMF in the other coil.
other coil.
So they are mutually linked to each other. So mutual means you need more than one coil. When you speak about self-induction, you need only one coil. So let's try to understand what this phenomenon is. So did you guys understand how I wrote that N phi is directly proportional to I and all? Because that is what I'm going to use in this chapter, in this topic also. Now observe. Now see. Let us say the heading is mutual induction. So let us say I have a coil like this. I have another coil like this. Okay. One is connected to a battery like this and a key. And the other is connected across a galvanometer. Okay. Now initially at t is equal to 0, what will happen? So let's say this is coil number 1, this is coil number 2. At t is equal to 0, the key is open. So what is going to be the current in the coil 1?
0.
Obviously, 0. Right? As soon as I close this, what will happen is there will be a same process, right? there will be an increase in the value of the current that is going to take place within the which coil?
First coil.
Within the first coil. So when the growth is happening, now observe there is a magnetic field that is going to get linked like this. I hope you are able to visualize this part. There is a magnetic flux field that is going to get linked in this way. Right? Are you guys able to understand this point?
Yes, sir.
Now, when the second coil is close to it such that the magnetic field that is produced by the first coil is getting linked with the second coil, what will happen in it? What will happen to the galvanometer on the other side?
Deflection.
That is
It starts showing deflection. Sorry?
shows deflection, sir.
It shows deflection. So the second coil is not connected to any battery, but it is showing a deflection in the galvanometer because it is saying that yes, current is flowing through me. But who is responsible for the current to get generated in the second coil?
First coil.
It is a change of current in the first coil that is
First
responsible.
coil.
Right. So can I say in this case that N2 into phi2, that is, let's say the number of turns of this coil is N2, the number of turns in this coil is N1. Okay. Since EMF has got induced across this, I don't know which is positive, which is negative. It depends on the scenario. So N2 is the number of turns in the second coil into phi2 is directly proportional to what?
Di by dt.
See, nothing. Here, what did I write?
Current.
Current across whom?
Current
So-
across first coil.
No. I'm saying when I wrote for the self-inductance, what did I do? I told the flux linked with the coil is directly proportional to its own current. That's what I wrote. But what is happening here?
I1.
The
Here
flux.
it is I1.
Very good. So the flux linked with the second coil is because of the current that is changing in the first coil. So here what I should write is I1 is equal to 0. Are you guys able to understand? So N2 into phi2 is directly proportional to I1. Okay. So N2 into phi2 is written as, if I remove the proportionality symbol, there what did I introduce? I introduced a symbol
L.
called as L. What is the name of this L? It is called as self-inductance.
Self-inductance.
Right. Here I will introduce a constant called as M, which is called as mutual inductance into I1, but I will be adding a suffix. Observe, it is written as 2-1. So meaning of this is it's a relative one. That is the mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to 1. So how can I write M21 as? M21 is equal to N2 into phi2 divided by I1. Are you guys able to understand this? So this is how you define the mutual inductance of whom? Of
Second coil.
second coil with respect to
With respect to first coil.
with respect to first coil. So how to remember this formula is whenever you write it as M21, 2 will be in the numerator, 1 will be in the denominator. Okay, can make a note till this point.
Sir, here what is M called?
M is called as mutual inductance.
Okay.
M just means mutual inductance. 2 and 1 represents it's a relative. Got it right? Now what I'm going to do is, if suppose I swap the second coil and the first coil, means I'm connecting the second coil across the battery and the first coil across the galvanometer, then what can I write directly? Even without diagram, I can write the flux linked with the first coil
Then 1 flux 1 by I2.
is directly proportional to the current in the second coil.
I2.
So N1 phi1, what should I write? M?
M12.
M12.
M12 I2. So M12 will be equal to N1 phi1 divided by I.
M1 by I2.
So how do you name it? It is also mutual inductance only. It's called as mutual inductance of first coil with respect to second. That's it. Are you guys able to understand? As simple as that. This is the only difference you need to have in your mind.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, how can there be a current in the second coil?
I'm saying if it is swapped. So before I wrote the statement, I told if it is swapped. Means I didn't draw the other diagram. If it is like this, if the scenario is like this, so this is second coil, this first coil. Now I can write it.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Right?
I understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So this is all about the mutual inductance as well. Okay. So generally the coil which is connected across the battery is called as the primary coil. And the coil across which the EMF is getting induced is called as the secondary coil. Got it? Right. So this is the introduction to it. Now what I'm going to do is, I will try to define the EMF. Here what did we define? We calculated the EMF in terms of self-inductance. No? So E is equal to L minus L into di by dt. In a similar way, what should I do here? So if I write it as M21 into I1 is equal to N2 into phi2. So when I differentiate on both the sides, I get M21 because it's a constant into di1 divided by dt will be equal to
N2
EMF
into d phi 2
E into
divided
N2 phi
by
2 divided by dt.
minus E2.
So this is minus E2. According to Faraday's law, this is nothing but minus E. But in which coil is it happening? It's happening in the second coil. So EMF induced in the second coil is equal to minus M21 into di1 by dt. Now
Sir,
this is,
N2 should be constant, no, sir?
it is constant. You can take it out. It is same.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So E2 should be minus M21 into di1 by dt. This equation gives you a clear explanation. EMF is induced in the second coil due to the change of current in the first coil. Right.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, if you try to define M21, again, see, for you to define the self-inductance, what you did to di by dt? You took it as 1 unit. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, if I take di1 by dt, then what will happen? E2 will be minus M21. So if I take the magnitude of it, E2 will be M21. So how can I define the mutual inductance of second coil with respect to one? So
The EMF developed in the second coil.
second coil, when the rate of change of current in the first coil is
Unity.
a unit value, 1 unit. That's it. You can give your own definition, right? So if they ask you to define the mutual inductance of second coil with respect to one, mutual inductance of second with respect to one is equal to the EMF induced across the second coil due to when the change of current when the rate of change of current in the first coil is 1 unit. Okay. Yes. Now what we are going to do is, since we have seen all the formulae, now we are going to define or try to derive the expression for the self-inductance across a solenoid. So write down the heading as self-inductance across a solenoid. So when I say solenoid in physics, it is understood that it is a long solenoid. When I say long solenoid, what is the meaning? The thickness is
Negligible compared to length.
thickness is small compared to its length. So if you have a solenoid like this, solenoid is also an inductor. Okay. So if you have a solenoid in your hand, let's say its length is L and its area of cross section is A, and if its radius is smaller, then what is it I need to derive? I need to derive L. So what is the basic formula of L? There are two formulae, okay? The first one which I wrote is N phi is equal to Li. Do you guys remember this? L is equal to N phi divided by I. Or The second one is L is equal to E divided by di by dt. Okay. So for me to derive the value, I'm going to use the first formula because that is easier for me to derive. So if I say the current in the current in the coil is I, then my work is to derive what? The self-inductance. So I'm going to start like this. We know that L is equal to N into phi divided by I. So N is N only. What is phi? Phi is B into A into cos theta divided by I. Right? So this is equal to N into, what is the value of B for a solenoid? Mu naught?
Mu not Ni.
You not Ni.
What N?
Capital
N.
N.
Small n
Small.
into I.
Small N.
Small n into I into A. And if you observe across a solenoid, for a long solenoid, where is the magnetic field present? It is present only
Inside the
inside the solenoid, right? Inside the solenoid. So what will be the angle between the magnetic field and the areal vector?
0.
It's going to be 0 degrees. So cos, I can take it as 0 degrees divided by I. So what will get cancelled? I and I will get cancelled. So it is mu naught into small n into capital N into A. Okay, this is one of the formulae. Or mu naught into small n into capital N, I can write it, mu naught into capital N into small n, I can write it as capital N divided by L into A. Then this will give me mu naught n square A divided by L. This is another form. Are you guys able to understand this?
Sir.
So it is mu naught n square A divided by L. So that's all with the derivation for.
Sir, why are we taking cos as 0?
You can either take a 0 as 0 or 180. It depends on the direction of current. I've taken only generic values. I'm trying to find only magnitude. Why 0 is because the magnetic field will be in this direction. When the coil is like this, you're trying to see from this direction. When you see from this direction, the areal vector will be towards you. So magnetic field is also in the same direction, areal vector is also in the same direction. That is why I'm taking it as Z. Okay. If you are clear with this, we'll go to the next concept. Yeah. So write down the heading as mutual inductance of two long solenoids of same length. Mutual inductance of two long solenoids of same length. Okay. See, for understanding purpose, I'll directly show you the diagram which is there in the textbook. So this is how the diagram is. You're able to see, no? There are two coils. There is one internal coil. There is one exterior coil, right? Interior and exterior. So inside you have a coil of radius. How much value? Of radius R1.
R1.
That is S1. S1 stands for solenoid 1. S2 stands for solenoid 2. Okay. Now see, they are coaxial solenoids. I'm going to derive the expression for coaxial. So what do you mean by coaxial? Co means same, axial refers
Same
to
axis.
So these are two solenoids which have the same axis, right? So two long solenoids which are coaxial and of the same length L. Now what is that we need to derive? We need to derive M21 and M12 because for mutual inductance there are two parameters associated. Right? Just give me a minute. I'll copy this diagram. This is the one that is given here. Now observe carefully. Okay. So we know the formula. So let's name it. There is the first coil. There is the second coil. If I ask you what is M12 and what is the formula for it, M12 means I told you whatever is the number at the end that will be in the denominator or numerator.
Denominator.
Denominator.
So M12 will be N151 divided by
divided by I2.
Yeah.
sorry I2. Sorry.
I2.
Yeah, I2. Right. Similarly, M21 is going to be N151.
N2.
Sorry,
I2
N2
divided
I2 divided by I1. But the only
I1.
point we have in our mind is they both are of the same length and they are long solenoids. These are the two parameters I have in my hand. Now let's try to derive what is the mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to one. Tell me now. So when I say M21, current is flowing across which coil?
First coil.
Current is flowing across the first coil. Okay. So what is the value of M21? M21 is N2, the number of into phi2 divided by I1. Right. So N2 into, observe this carefully. So when I write phi2, I will write magnetic field into area into cos
Cos
theta.
theta.
The whole divided by I1. The important question to be raised is, unlike the previous case, there was only one magnetic field, one area, one cos theta. Here I need to raise an important question. This magnetic field is induced due to whom?
By first coil.
It is by the first
First
coil.
coil.
So one common mistake what you will tend to do, because you wrote phi2 there, you will write it as B2A2 into cos theta. Right? So magnetic field generated by the first coil and area of what?
Second coil.
Second coil.
Second coil.
This first coil only. I'll tell you why. You will write area of the first coil into cos of theta 1 by the I1. Now let me explain why I wrote A1 here. Can someone tell me? I'll give you a minute time. Can you think and tell me why I wrote area 1?
Sir, because maybe the first coil will produce a magnetic field which will be experienced only in that particular area.
You're almost there. If you remove that word maybe and if you're confident, I can. Recollect one concept, no? So solenoid 1 is of a smaller diameter. So we know one important concept about a solenoid. Here, ideally, where is the magnetic field present for it?
The magnetic field present only inside the coil.
Only inside the coil. So the maximum flux that can get linked will only be within this area. Are you guys able to understand? There is no magnetic field outside it. So that is the reason why I wrote it as A1. Okay. So it is N2 into, what is the value of B1? It is mu naught into the same formula, mu naught into N into I, but you need to be careful with the suffix. N
N1.
N1.
N1 into I1.
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 I, or I will first write it as A itself. Okay. I'll write it as A itself.
Yes, sir.
So A1 into cos theta again is going to be cos 0 degrees.
0.
The whole divided by I1. I1 and I1 will get cancelled. So mu naught into, what do I write? N1, small n1 into capital N2 into A1 is going to be the value. Am I right? So mu naught N1 into N2, I can write it as small n2 divided by L into area of the first coil.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
So this is M21. But what is the area of the first coil? N1
Pi R1 square.
pi R1 square, the whole divided by L. So this is going to be the value of the mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to one. So even if you forget, it might appear to be like a very big expression. Even if you forget it, it is only 3 steps of derivation. So I suggest you to practice it again. Okay. So this is the value of the mutual inductance of the second coil with respect to one. There are many questions asked for the MCQs. Okay. So they'll ask you a question which is based on this particular formula. Now we have derived.
Solids are of equal length, sir.
Yeah, they are equal length.
Okay.
Why that equal length? We will see what will happen in that case. So mu naught small n1 small n2 pi r1 square divided by L. This is the value of M21. There is no doubt. I'll proceed to the next one.
Can you give a minute to copy?
Sure, you can do it. Take it.
Sir,
Sir, do we draw the diagram?
Now no need. You can draw. You can leave some space. Look at the textbook and draw.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't waste time. Yeah, Darshini.
Huh?
tell me.
So M21 means force experienced by the
Not force.
second one.
Not force. Not force. Mutual.
Sorry.
Inductance. Mutual inductance of the second coil means how much is the second coil mutually induced due to the current in the first coil. That is the meaning.
Sir, is capital N2 is equal to N2 into L, sir?
It is not capital N2. Capital N2, small n2 into L. Oh, 1 minute.
Small
Yeah.
N2 is equal to
Sorry,
capital
I
N2.
made a mistake. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, man. I didn't check. So actually, small n1 is n1 by. I made a mistake. Sorry. So mu naught capital N1 divided by L into N2 into A1. Thank you. So it is N1, N2. This is the case. Or if I want to write everything in terms of small n, what do I write? M21 should be equal to mu naught into N1 into N2. I can write it as N2 into L into A1. That is mu naught N1 N2 L into pi R1. Okay, so both the formulae mean the same.
So done.
Yeah. Now we'll derive M12. You guys tell me, okay? Wait, I'll copy the same diagram for your reference. Copy. Now we need to derive what value? M12, correct?
M12.
So M12, what is the formula? It is N151 divided by I2.
By I2.
That's simple. N151 divided by I2 means N1 I'm not disturbing. What does 51 mean? Again, let's first write down BA cos theta the whole divided by what? I2. Now put the suffix. Now flux. I am writing it. How much is the flux induced to the flux linked with the first coil? That is very important. So flux linked with the second coil, first coil is due to the current induced by which coil? So who is having the current? I2 is there. I2 means second coil is having the current. So magnetic field generated due to the second coil. Did you understand what I did?
Yes, sir.
B2 into what should I write? Should I write A2 or A1?
A1.
I should write it as A1. So in both the cases, important point to be noted in the derivation, in both the cases, the value of magnetic fields are different, but the area that is written for the flux is the same. Okay. So that will be N1 into, what is the value of B2? Again, the same formula. Mu naught small n2 into I2.
Then I2.
Into A1 is pi R1 square cos 0 is 1 divided by I2. The derivation is over. So mu naught capital N1 small n2 pi R1 square. So mu naught into capital N1 is N1 into L into N2 is already there pi R1 square. So mu naught N1 N2 into L into pi R1 square. So this is the value of M12.
Oh, the screen was stuck, sir.
I think it is slow. You will get it. I wrote it.
Okay, sir. Now it's coming, sir.
Yeah. It's a little slow, please. So this is the expression. M12 is equal to mu naught N1 N2 into L into pi R1 square. So the derivation is very, very simple. Only thing is you need to be clear enough on choosing which value of magnetic field is to be chosen. right? So this is an expression in terms of small n, small n1 and small n2. If I want to write it in terms of capital N and capital N2, what should I? So M12 will be equal to mu naught into capital N1 into capital N2 into pi R1
A1
square.
divided by L.
That's instead of A1, I wrote it as pi R1 square. So if you do a comparison between M12 and M21, what is that you're able to observe?
Both the same, sir.
They both are same only because of one reason. What is it?
Area is
Area is
It is not because area is
Length is
it is because the length is the same.
length.
Had they been coils of different lengths, the value completely would have changed. It is difficult to derive. Okay, mu naught n1 n2 pi r1 square divided by L. That is why I was stressing on the point of the same length. And this derivation is often asked. So ensure you're clear and practice it well. Okay. So this is all about self-induction and mutual induction. And the expressions for self-inductance and mutual inductance for solenoids also. We have done our part. So if you're done with this, I'll go to the next concept. Next is actually a theoretical concept. The next two concepts that are left out in this chapter are theoretical. Wait, before that I forgot one concept.
done, sir.
Done. So before that, write it down. Write down the next point. That is energy stored in an inductor. So energy stored in an inductor. So energy means what? It is the amount of work that needs to be done. So I'm going to start the derivation like this. We know that power is equal to EMF into, you know this formula, right? Power is defined as the product of potential difference and the current. So P is equal to, what is the value of E across an inductor? So when I say an inductor, I will use only self-inductance because I'm talking only about one inductor. So E is equal to L into di by
Minus
dt.
L here.
No, you need not write the minus sign. Minus sign is the significance of Lenz's law there. No? I'm just taking the magnitude, L into di by dt.
Yes, sir.
So I into di is equal to P divided by L into dt. 1 minute. Yeah, P divided by dt. But what is P into dt? We know that power is also equal to dw by dt. Then what is the value of dw? dw is P dt. So I can write it as 1 by, or I will leave the L on the other side itself. Okay, I will leave L on the other side. So L into I is equal to P into dt, that is nothing but dw. So W is equal to L into I into dw, integrating on both the sides. So if I say the rate of increase of current is between 0 to I, then W is equal to L is a constant. So integral of I di.
I square by 2.
I square by 2.
square by
When you apply the
2.
limits, you will get the answer as 0 to I only. So the amount of energy stored in an inductor is half into L into I square. So it is something similar to half CV square. So energy stored in an inductor is equal to half into L into I square. You can make a note. Energy is stored in the inductor in the form of magnetic field. Clear? So this is the
Yes,
energy stored. So this derivation can also be asked, or they can ask you the problems which are based on this derivation. So that's it. Okay. So this is all about inductance. That is induction also. The next concept that we are going to see is called as
ரெண்டே ரெண்டு பிரெட் தான் இருக்கு. அது உனக்கு சுட்டு கொடுத்தா கடுப்பாயிரும். அதான் விட்டுட்டேன். நாளைக்கா?
So listen. So the next topic that we are going to see is eddy currents. So there is a topic like this. This is theoretical concept only, but I'll show you some activity or experiment which is based on. There is the current. There is the topic. It's only one page. The topic is named as eddy currents. It's in page 218 in your textbook. So this eddy current was found by a scientist named Foucault. So it is also called as Foucault current, or sometimes they call it as circular current. Let me explain what exactly happens in this. You see this activity, okay? You're able to see a plate, right? You're able to see
Yes,
a
sir.
plate like this. It is oscillating. You have a magnetic field. I'll show you some activity. See here. So see, the one which he has in his hand is a permanent magnet. If you see, one can be taken as a north pole and the other can be taken as a south pole. Now, if I have a coil, right? If I have a coil like this, and across this coil, if I move a magnet, what will happen? Across this coil, if I move a magnet, what will happen?
Magnetic
Electricity
flux.
generated.
There is a
Electricity
current. There is a current that is going to be flowing in this circuit. Or what I can do is I can keep the magnet constant here. I can move this coil also. The same thing is going to happen.
Yes, sir.
So coil is something which is hollow, right? So instead of using a coil, what if I use a continuous metal sheet? What exactly is going to happen across it? That's the topic all. Okay. Now let's see what is going to happen upstream. It's a very, very simple concept. Okay. So this thing is clear, right? One is north pole. I'm using the cursor. One is north pole, one is south pole. Let us assume. We are not concerned about which is north, which is south. So you have heard about the substances: paramagnetic substance, diamagnetic, and ferromagnetic substance. You have heard about it, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So here, what is the type of material that we'll be using is paramagnetic substance that we will see in the 5th chapter. As of now, assume that this experiment is applicable only for a paramagnetic substance. Have it in your mind. So one of such paramagnetic materials is aluminum. So you're able to see this metal sheet, right? So this metal sheet is there, which is completely, there is no hollow part. It is completely made up of aluminum. Now, if it is allowed to swing, what will happen? If it is allowed to swing on its own, under the influence of gravity, you would have done an experiment which is based on simple pendulum, right?
Damping, sir.
It will
Comes to
oscillate.
rest after some time.
It will rest after some time. It will not come to immediate rest, right? Is it going to come to instantaneous rest? Nothing of that sort. Its amplitude will decrease with respect to time. Okay. So we know this. See what did you see? What will happen is, so now he's releasing it. What do you think will happen? I think you've already seen it.
It will stop between
It will.
It will
Because
come
of the
to,
magnetic.
it will come to instantaneous rest. Observe it. Actually, what should happen? Due to gravity, it should have actually gone to the other side. But when it is trying to pass through which field?
magnetic
Magnetic
field.
When it is trying to pass through the magnetic field, it is instantaneously coming to rest. We need to give a justification to it. We should know what exactly is happening to that conductor. Right? So now he is replacing the continuous aluminum with the one which is having some slot. You're able to see the slots? This is given in your textbook
Yes,
also.
sir.
This is given in your textbook. The first one is this experiment, this aluminum sheet. The second one is with the slots. This is the third one. It's a comb-like structure. So what do you think will happen when it is moving with the slot? You can guess. What do you think will happen?
It goes, sir.
It will
It's
go to the
To the
other
other
side.
side.
Will it go to the?
Oscillate.
It will oscillate. Let's check. Somebody told the answer. It will slowly.
It will slowly reduce.
Slowly reduced to.
Okay, let's see. So did you see what happened to it?
Yes, sir. Small displacement.
It was there, it was trying to go, but it couldn't go. Okay. When you had a complete metal sheet, it stopped instantaneously. Right. When you have slots on it, it was trying to go, but it couldn't succeed. Okay. So this is like a comb one. It is open on one of these sides. Right. What do you think will happen when this is tried to move through the magnetic field?
Can move
Not
further. Possibly.
Will it move further? Do you think?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you mean to say it will oscillate, or it will move further and then stop? What will happen?
It won't oscillate.
Won't oscillate, but move much
Move
more
further and it will stop, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see. Nothing happened. So what do you think is actually happening? Nothing happened. Our guess was wrong. Right. So what do you think is exactly happening with it? Can you guess?
Sir, maybe it is depending upon the area, sir.
Depending upon the area, absolutely. So what happened with the third one?
It oscillated.
It oscillated. Why? Because there is no area at all. Is there any area linked with that coil?
No, sir.
Reason being, it is open at one of the ends. No, then there is no area linked with it. So that was the reason. Okay, 1 minute. My device got disconnected. Just a minute. So when the first coil that was there, when it was trying to flow through it, observe. When the first coil was trying to enter into the magnetic field, let us say the magnetic field is like this. It is into the plane. Okay. Suppose you have a sheet, that aluminum sheet was there, right? When it was trying to enter into the magnetic field, what happened to the magnetic flux associated with it?
Increases.
It increased, right? Because the number of field lines that are associated with that particular area is going to increase. Am I right?
Sir.
Right.
Yes,
So when
sir.
that is happening, according to Lenz's law, what should happen? If there is a,
Clockwise current.
Flow in anti-clockwise.
Induces
Yes,
EMF.
it should induce an EMF, right? And that induced EMF in turn should induce a current. Since you are using aluminum, aluminum is a good conductor of electricity, and the current will get induced in such a way. You people tell me, like I've taken the magnetic field like this, means you're acting like which pole?
North pole.
North pole.
You're acting like the North Pole. So when the coil is going into the, no, it's not the coil, when the metal sheet is getting into the magnetic field, flux is increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
Increasing. Which polarity? Increasing means what
Polarity.
current? What current will get generated?
Anti-clockwise.
So what will happen is, as the coil is going into the plane, there will be small circular currents that will get generated. There will be small circular currents that will get generated in this coil, which is actually trying to bring this metal sheet to instantaneous rest. Okay, and all these circular currents are what are called as eddy currents. Eddy is actually a circular thing. That's why the name has come. Eddy is not the name of a scientist. Foucault is the name of the scientist. Are you guys able to understand this? So this was the reason why the first sheet actually came to rest. Whereas what happened with the second sheet?
It's shown as
Increasing
small
Eddy
distance.
currents produced to be less.
currents were
Because
less.
the eddy current would have been less because there are some open spots. Though you have an area, the current could flow only through these parts. So the whole current couldn't stop the conductor. Whereas what happened with the third one?
It has no area where it
No,
is
no
not
area.
exist.
Since it has an open surface, there is no area associated with that particular metal sheet. Since there was no area, there is no concept of eddy currents. Okay. If you ask me where it is used in the real time, you people would have gone in these roller coasters, right? In the exhibitions.
Yes.
Yes, right. You sit like this. Let's say the track is designed like this. When you go down, let's say you're sitting like this. When you go down, with the help of gravity, what should happen to its velocity?
Increase.
It should increase,
Increase.
right? It should increase. But have you ever observed when it comes here, it will try to slightly slow down itself?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Have you ever observed it? That's nothing but they're using a system called as the magnetic braking systems. The pendulum which you saw now is called as a braking pendulum. BR, not EAK, it is BRAKING, braking system. So what happens is they use the magnets on either side of the track such that when your particular compartment is entering into that particular field, it will try to slow down. This is one of the applications of eddy currents. It has a real-time application. So what exactly should happen is you should be able to send what kind of a material into the magnetic field. I told you already.
Metal.
Paramagnetic.
You send a paramagnetic substance. What will happen if you send a ferromagnetic substance? Ferromagnetic substance means which is highly attracted to magnets, which is made up of iron.
Software.
So in the same experiment, instead of aluminum, if you send the iron, if it is made up of iron, what happens is when it is trying to enter the field, it will definitely stop. But before stopping, what will happen is it will get attracted to either of the poles. So then what will be your justification? You're saying because it got attracted to one of the poles, it has stopped. But whereas what is happening here? It is somewhere in the mid-air. You're able to understand. That is why this eddy current concept has to come out. You should not use a ferromagnetic or a diamagnetic substance. You need to use a paramagnetic substance. Are you guys able to visualize and understand? So here it is given, say, magnetic braking in trains. So these are all the applications. The application part, you can read it. It's full of theory. There is nothing much for me to explain. So induction furnace and the electric power meters. So these topics alone you can read on your own. Okay.
Sir, one clarification, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, so can we conclude in conductor of a plane sheet like that? The currents will be always in circular motion, sir.
It will be in circular motion. It has to be. It has to be. Because of that circular current, what will happen is there will be an opposite magnetic field that is getting induced. No? Because see, if you talk about the strength of the magnetic field, when I take the conductor here, 1 minute, my system is really slow. I was actually planning to show you another activity. It will take only 2 minutes. We'll finish it off.
Yes, sir.
Again, my iPad stopped. So this chapter is almost over. There is only one subtopic that is pending, okay? Now it's your work to start studying. So here, there's a very good activity. See, here the experiment is different. This is a magnet. A plate is there, and he has a magnetic substance in his hand. Okay. So it's a strong magnet, okay? It is oscillating. See, so here he is using the reverse. I'm sorry about it. Here there is a copper plate. Copper is also a paramagnetic substance, and there is a strong magnet. So in the previous case, what happened? Magnet was fixed and the metal sheet was oscillated. Here the metal sheet is kept fixed and the magnet is oscillated. See what will happen to the magnet. So did you guys observe it?
Yes, sir.
So it stopped, right?
Yes, sir.
So it stopped. Now the same. So actually the sheet is made up of copper on one side and iron on other side. When it is made up of iron on other side, see, iron means it is going and sticking.
Yes, sir.
Copper, it will not stick. Right? So this is happening. Now see, look at this. He's trying to drop a copper plate across two magnets. These are the two magnets. and there is a copper plate which is dropped, just to show how dangerous this experiment is, see what he will do. See, the copper plate is dropped. You're able to see?
Yes, sir.
Now see what will happen. Now the two magnets are, okay, now one of the magnets is moved down. See what he will do. He's trying to place his hand. If something goes wrong, what will happen? It's gone, fingers are gone. But see how physics is saving him. Right, why did this happen? Obviously because of the eddy current. So this is the same thing. You can visualize this better in the roller coaster experiment example which I told you, right? So that's what happens. Okay. So when it is placed at different positions, things will change. If you want, I can send you. Hello, are you guys there?
Yes, sir.
I had some network issue. What I told is I will share that video. You can go through it and you can analyze what are all the different permutations, combinations they're trying to find. Okay.
Yes,
So I hope
sir.
eddy currents concept is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. So only one last topic, that is AC generator, that is left out. After that, we can go to the next chapter. Okay. So just a minute.